Crazy. Welcome, Filthy Casher. I will be there in a minute, but you're impressive. Very impressive. You're faster than my bot. Yeah. So, how is everyone's Saturday? Hopefully good so far. Today we have a really cozy stream, nothing crazy, just the usual, just talking about stuff. I have some really interesting topics that I want to get your opinion on. Other than that, nothing new. All same old, same old. But enjoying Guild Wars 2 and enjoying our Saturday, I hope. So one thing that I, after talking to you yesterday, Filthy, about the spear in World vs. World when it comes to Elementalist, I think the spear is actually not a weapon really made for World vs. World because of two reasons, or at least for Zerg play. Staff will always be the superior option there as a DPS weapon. Reason for that is you have the etchings, and the etchings empower you, obviously. Yeah. And that means that, 1 second. Perfect. We got a really fast group. Nice. So the etchings empower you, but you have to stand in them. So that means, and that's the sad part here, if you have to move, and in World vs. World you have to move a lot, you will lose out on your etchings all the time. And this is the big problem. Yeah. So the etchings help you to deal damage, and you need to stand in them. But if you move around a lot, you can't deal more damage, and that means that in the end, the spear damage is lower than it could be. Oh no, you committed a sin. That's not good. That sounds bad. Sounds bad. What is it? And the second thing that I want to mention here is that your spear has a lot of projectiles, and projectiles are really, really bad in World vs. World because they will get reflected all the time. Forgot to unmute because I watched another stream yesterday. That's fine. That's fine. Now you hear me, I guess. Now you hear me. Oh, we have a really good player. That's Chess. This guy's really, really good. Nice. Nice. We have a good DPS. That's what we like. It's fine. So what I mentioned is that I'm talking about Spear, Elementalist, especially Catalyst in World vs. World. It has two drawbacks why you would typically not run Spear in a Zerg scenario. Because the first one is the etchings. You have to stand in your etchings to actually make them work, to actually get the power of it. But if you stand in it too long, you might get killed, you might have to move and you lose the power of the etching. So there is a big drawback in that sense, yeah? The second thing here is that... One second. Oh, just in time. The second thing here is that the spear has a lot of projectiles. And projectiles are really, really bad. And why is that? Because in World vs. World there are so many reflects going on. And reflects are horrible if you have a lot of projectiles. Because you can't actually hit anything in World vs. World if you are projectile based and don't have any unblockable skills. And Catalyst doesn't have that. So you have a big problem. That's why I would say if you want to play Catalyst as a DPS build in World vs. World, Weaver as a DPS build, Spear is fun, but it's not the most optimal way. Staff is the most optimal way because you have so many attacks that are not projectile based. So you can just ignore it and you are not locked into your etching spots. You can move around. Yes, I know, it's a little bit sad that you don't have the most optimal things going for you there, but what can you do? Very good, we did it. So, just that you know, I decided to go for Alacrity heal here, because I always fear if I'm not playing heal, I have someone that is not capable of healing. I actually encountered it so frequently right now that I play DPS and then our healer is really, really bad. So I would really like to have a decent healer. No, I failed. The aftercast. Annoying. Where's the quickness, please? Quickness. Thanks. Yeah. So this fractal, if you have a lot of DPS, it's actually very nice if you can bring a healer that can also provide rune extension. Why is that? Because you have to split a lot, so that helps here a lot. So that's why I really like Chronomancer here and actually not going for Heal Firebrand. Because Heal Firebrand can't extend the wounds, so that means if you get Alacrity providers that can't provide 100% uptime within the split phase. Oh no, we got someone that is dead. Then that's why I'm talking for this. Welcome, Wolfie. Welcome, welcome. I hope you all have a nice Saturday morning. At least for me, it's morning. I mean, I know you went in with the PvE build in World vs. World. It's obviously not always a very good choice, but just telling you, even if it would be very strong there, I would say it has its disadvantages, yeah? That's just the sad truth about Spear. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Wolfie. Oh, we have to split again. That's really sad. Really appreciate it. Good morning, Galen. Good morning. I think the problem is in World vs. World, there is... I think that's the sad part. There's a lot of denial when it comes to projectile-based attacks. And that's a big problem in my opinion, because projectiles are so commonly on range builds used, and there are so many attacks that can reflect skills. So in World vs. World, you typically have to play a build, if you want to play somewhat ranged, that doesn't have any projectiles. And I think that's really making the gameplay a little bit more boring, yeah? Because you... that's gonna be rough. Okay, I made it. So that makes it really boring, the build crafting, because you have to go for a build that is not projectile based. And in my opinion, that's not something really, I don't know. I think it would be cooler if the reflects would be a less common and you really have to think about when to place them and not always have reflects up, because that's, in my opinion, feels like it's really hindering your build crafting in World vs. World. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of how World vs. World DPS builds play right now. You have to be melee, or you have to be something like Mirage, where you don't have anything that is projectile based and you can, or at least anything that is blockable or reflectable. And I think that really hinders Spear Catalyst, that hinders anything that is a little bit more on the projectile heavy side. You know, even something like Greatsword Mesmer is not good because you have projectiles in there. Yes, your 2 can be unblockable or is unblockable, but it still is something that is not that good. I also don't like, for example, how it's turning out with that your phantasms on Mesmer are instantly dead, your pets are instantly dead on Ranger. So there are so many negating factors in World vs. World that you typically can't build craft a lot of different builds because some classes are just locked out of it instantly. So I think that this is a big problem, especially for a new player that just started playing a specific... Oh, that's gonna be rough. Started playing a specific class because they can't swap to a different class. However, they still have the problem that everyone else has, that, for example, you can't use a Ranger in Zerg play because the pets will instantly die. So, yeah, I don't know. Feels tough at some point. So Scepter is best for World vs. World in terms of range damage other than Staff AoE. So I would say Scepter is not really a good ranged weapon in that sense. The reason for that is it's only 900 range, and in World vs. World, if you're at 900 range, you will probably die. That's 1200 range is what you need. That's the sad truth. Welcome, EchoFox, welcome. So going for a Scepter in a Zerg scenario is not the way, I would say. Go Staff or not go ranged at all. That's the sad truth here. Yeah. And yeah, I just can't tell you anything else here, I would say. Faster, please. Oh. It's always so close if you have to move half the way across the map to get to this guy. Yeah, so Staff on Elementalist is the only ranged weapon that you can use, sadly. Yeah. Now that the fastest is the meta for the... 1 second, I have to do this fight first. I don't want to fail here. Nice, I have 100% alacrity uptime. That's good, I guess. Should I do this or should I not? I guess I do it. Have another dead one? Not good. It's a little bit risky to go here as a healer, but it's fine, I guess. It's fine. Do guild events, rush, etc. happen at set timesheet week? No. You can start them when you have the guild requirements met for that. Oh, that was close. Always a little bit greedy with the turn back here. That doesn't look good. Intense fight here, intense. I think we used 2 orbs already. Let's see if we can do it without any more orbs from our allies. You can see the DPS difference is immense. We have one good person and this person does, I don't know, 7k more DPS than all the others. It's actually crazy. Okay, so now let's catch up on chat. Now that the dust has settled a bit, has the meta for high-level fights such as Ceres LCM changed a bit after the latest balance patch? I have to be honest, I think it did not change too much. Yes, there was some nerf to Condivert, and I think that definitely hurt it, the overall damage performance. But you will see that with the upcoming Tuesday's patch, we actually get the new challenge mode. It will not be an LCM, but it will be a challenge mode. We will have a race to world's first. I think there are 2,000 gold or something on the line. So there are some, and of course a lot of prestige of killing the challenge mode the first try, or as the first one. So yes, there will be probably some adjustments to the meta, but for me, I think not too crazy. So in my opinion, I would say people will still play the same thing, but we will see on Tuesday what people will play. So just check out Snowcrows and all the guys that really go for try hard world's first kill, sorry. And we will see. Yeah, we will see. So you can start your guild events in your missions here, and whenever you start them, your guild can do them. So they will reset each Monday, but that's about it. So you can start them whenever you want them. So that's the question answered from YouTube, I guess. Yeah, I think the only range build that you can play in World vs. World that actually is projectile based is Virtuoso, because Virtuoso is actually capable of having a lot of unblockables in the kit, and that helps, of course, to deny projectiles. Because if you didn't know, projectiles that are unblockable are also unreflectable. So that doesn't really say it anywhere in the game, but unblockable things are also unreflectable. Yes. Best guild hall boon for PvE would be Magic Find, unless I want to do specific match farm. So that's a tough thing. So in the guild hall you can get, I think, 8 or something different boosts. So you can get crafting boosts, gathering boosts, and that kind of stuff. And you're also talking, of course, about Magic Find and experience. However, I would say Magic Find, that's the part where a lot of people struggle with. Magic Find actually is only affecting drops from enemies that are really hit by you. So that means you have to hit the enemy, or you have to get credit for it, and the enemy has to drop the thing. So if you get a bag or something, it is not affected. It's only affecting your direct loot from an enemy. Yeah, and that is in most cases not the loot that actually gives you a lot of gold. It's more often the case that you get loot from out of a bag, out of some kind of chests, and this is not affected by it. So Magic Find, in my opinion, is only really useful if you do a lot of mob grinding. Something that is very frequently done, for example, in meta events or something. But at the same time, and that's the crazy part here, you get a lot of experience in those events. And experience, in my opinion, is more valuable than Magic Find. Why is that? Because every time you level up in Guild Wars 2, you get a spirit shard when you reach level 80. And this spirit shard will be worth around 1 gold, a little bit less depending on what you are doing, if you use it to rarefy materials, to craft some special gear, and you get actually, with the spirit shards, more value of the Magic Find than you would get from the more value from the experience than you would get from the Magic Find. So please keep that in mind, because I think this is really something that a lot of new players think, oh my god, Magic Find is really, really good. But I have to say, it's not. It's actually highly overrated. I think Magic Find is 10% Magic Find is not changing too much. Rather go for 10% experience gain. That's helping a lot. It only affects mob kills, but still, it's still quite a lot. That's my answer here. And of course, you can also go for the crafting and gathering stuff. I think all of that makes sense, especially if you play something that is heavily involving crafting and gathering, then that of course makes sense as well. But that's just what I wanted to tell you here. Experience is probably the superior way. Karma can also be useful if you struggle to get karma. But in general, I would say experience is the more valuable way, for sure. No. Typically, you do the guild missions when your guild does them. And I would say I would start them at the same time, somewhat similar, so that we can all do them together. But that's about it. You wouldn't do the guild missions, I don't know, over the course of a week when no one is there. Yeah. Welcome, Varens. Welcome. question, how does Reflect really work? So that's interesting. Reflect is one of the weirdest mechanics in Guild Wars 2 because Reflects are, in the end, not... So there are deflects, there are reflects, and there are some kind of absorbed skills. So a reflect, like so let's say feedback on Mesmer. Ooh, they are so low. Holy shit. Reflects, like feedback on Mesmer, are just reflecting the attack. So that means if I put a reflect down, the attack gets reflected, it will deal some damage or will deal effect to the enemy. That's it. However, if you have a deflect down, it will just negate the attack. It will not do anything else than negating the attack. This can be useful. For example, what typically is very common here is that you, like on Herald or Ventari Revenant, oh, holy shit, can someone else CC? Holy shit, that's actually insane. I did solo CC here. Then you have, for example, Ventari Bubble. This is a deflect. It's not reflecting. So that just destroys the projectiles. But in the end, that might not be helpful because some projectiles are really nice to reflect because they deal damage and something like that. But if you, for example, Revenant doesn't have any reflect skills in the kit, other than, for example, with Relics, then it's just the only option that you have. Yes, that's true. But in my opinion, you should still be aware though that reflects are better than deflects for the most part, because if you can reflect, that's better. And the last thing, that's the most unknown thing, is I can, for example, with invulnerability skills, I can absorb projectiles. Even unblockable projectiles are absorbable by invulnerability. So if I stand inside, for example, Slotherthor, when it does its shake attack, where a lot of spores happen that are unblockable, you can actually use this distortion and jump inside the boss to absorb all the projectiles. So that helps a lot. Just saying. Those three work. Okay. And that's the interesting part. If you have multiple, so if you reflect a reflected projectile, there will be a time, I think after 1 or 2 reflects, it will just despawn. So you can't reflect it infinitely. So you can reflect a reflected projectile, I think, but that's the only thing. You can't reflect it back, so it will be destroyed then. So that's, I think, answering your question there, Rance. I want to have power builds are mostly used for instant content, in my opinion, are more viable in World vs. World because of things like Siege, Destroy, even bother you, Bonnie in PvE. So, in my opinion, currently, so there was a time where you only used power builds in World vs. World, but that time has changed. Nowadays, you don't have that many cleanses anymore, so you can also use Condi builds in World vs. World in Cirque Play. But you're right, for siege equipment typically and that kind of stuff, or for bursting, it's better to have power builds. That's obviously the same in instance content. I would say 98% of the boss fights in Guild Wars 2 are actually favoring power builds, just baseline. And therefore you, yeah, have to use power builds. Are we actually all there? Yeah, we are. Nice, we got the CC. I don't know. I'm almost solo CCing here. Stability. Wait. We get stability. Yeah, so that's why power builds, I would say PvE fair power builds. In World vs. World, I would say it's not that as clearly cut. That's the truth here. Currently, there are so little Condi cleanses, or quite a little amount of Condi cleanses in World vs. World meta, so that you actually can play also some kind of Celestial variant and deal actually some decent Condi damage as well. Wanted to craft Vision, forgot I need 100 of every Living World Season 4 currency. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit annoying, but to be honest, give more quickness. Yeah, I can't with the other one. Who is the quickness provider? Ah, it's our Chronomancer. Yeah, so Living World Season 4 currencies, I think my biggest tip here is, if you don't want to farm them, there are multiple ways to actually get them. You can play World vs. World and PvP and use the reward tracks to get them. You get actually quite a decent amount of them if you just use the corresponding reward track, because I think you get 50 or 100 or sometimes even 200 depending on what kind of currency it is. It's actually very, very easy to get them there. So just play World vs. World for a bit or PvP and you actually get a decent amount. If you're lazy like me, you can also just gather it in the homestead on the home instance, and you will over months actually acquire enough of that if you have the gathering thing. But of course you're right there. If you don't have that, then it's not good. Just saying. But I think if you play World vs. World, so in my opinion that should be a good option here. So yeah, just that you know. Nice, we got the CC here as well. You can see if you have a good DPS, it's actually crazy how much difference it makes. Thanks for the Prime 6 shots. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the stream. I need 7k shards of glory for my next PvP legendary set. Ooh, that hurts. That's actually quite a lot. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can grind them. You can, if it's not the ascended ones, just the normal ones, you can also buy them. But of course, you're probably talking about the ascended ones as well. Those are actually a little bit hard to farm, but you can grind them forever. So the repeatable stuff is actually really helpful for that. I usually watch you on YouTube, but I thought I'd pop on and throw this your way. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Yeah, really appreciate it. Worst case, 2 days of Joa Creep, Draka, and Home. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can farm it, of course, in PvE as well, the Living World Season currencies. But I would say if you like World vs. World, that's the most relaxing way where you can still play stuff that you normally would do and still get the things. So I think the reward tracks are really helping there. And it's also really cool because with the reward tracks, you can actually acquire stuff that you normally, for example, needed achievements for. So there are some kind of skins that you can actually get from the reward tracks that are needed to craft Vision and Aurora to unlock the achievement for that. But you can get those skins just by doing reward tracks in PvP and World vs. World, which is really, really good. So you can skip some kind of achievement grind if you are not in for that. It's really, really nice. Yeah, Sunswept Isles and Dragonfall, that's are the 2 maps where I was also talking about, where the karma or experience boost is extremely strong from the guild hall. Because you kill so many enemies there that it is very, very strong if you have those experience buff on. Because you will get way more spirit shards over the course of a meta event. Please, really do that. It's really helpful. If you are in dire need for karma, you can also go for the karma thing, because we will do some events there and get 10% more karma. But the experience in PvE is the best option. And then the best option for World vs. World, in my opinion, is either going for full reward track gain and say, okay, I go for reward tracks, or you go for experience, World vs. World experience. Both can be totally fine, but you have to acknowledge what you are doing. So I would say if you're roaming, I would rather go, for example, for the experience gain, rather not for the experience gain, because experience in roaming is lower than if you kill enemies all the time, a lot of enemies. Yeah, so that's what I would say. So you would rather go for the, how's it called? Reward track gain if you're roaming, because you then get more loot. But if you're in Cirque play and capture a lot of stuff that is, for example, I don't know, even Stonemass Castle and that stuff, if you have the 10% more experience gain in World vs. World, that's actually a lot of rank ups that you get over the course of time. Yeah. Is it worth trade volatile magic for T6 materials? Yes, it is very worth it. It's very. I made a build guide on YouTube actually, or not build guide, sorry, a video guide about it in the future, about how much gold you can make with that, and that it's very, very lucrative. If you don't need the volatile magic for some kind of achievements or some kind of things that you normally would need volatile magic for, so minis and what kind of stuff, legendaries that you need it for, then what? Then you get a lot of gold out of it. At least over the course of time. Yes, not always in the sense that you get rich by doing it, but if you farm it consistently, you actually get a decent amount of gold extra. Yeah. I always found reward track boosts while roaming was the best. Yeah, I agree. I think while roaming, that's definitely the best way to go. For when it comes to the other things, if you, for example, really want to go for 10k rank in World vs. World, then I personally want to do that. Then I go for the experience boost all the time. But 10% is not too much if you're roaming. Yeah, if you're capturing Stone Mist Castle, that's actually a different thing, because that's actually quite a lot. So there, I would say it's quite important that you have it on. Just saying. And then for PvP, of course, reward gain is the only thing that actually exists. So this is the best one. The experience boost doesn't work for PvP and World vs. World, but there is an extra one which explicitly says World vs. World experience, and this one is working. So there is something that works in World vs. World and PvP, it's just a different experience boost. That's the weird thing here. Yeah. What's your opinion on Sword on roaming on Elementalist? I think Sword is good. Sword is decent. Please kill it. Hello? Hello? Thanks. Sword is decent for roaming. I would say I would play some kind of Condi Weaver or something like that, or Condi Catalyst, because Sword favors actually Condi builds. Because you have some nice evades, you have some nice Condi application on your skills, you have also some nice blast finishes. In my opinion, Sword on Elementalist is, for me, in World vs. World or competitive modes, more like a Condi weapon. So, yeah, I think it's actually okay. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the best option. I think their Elementalist has better options, especially Catalyst, but it's decent. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Celebration booster you get for your birthday or weekly. But yeah, that's true. The celebration booster also gives you experience gain for every single game mode. So that's correct. There you get it. But I'm talking about the guild hall thing, where you can select things, and the experience booster that works in PvE is not working in World vs. World. Here, this one works in every single game mode, 100%. Yeah, this is obviously really good. If you have enough of them lying around, for example, if you have 70 characters like I do, you have enough of them lying around, you can use them you can use them all the time on your characters, yes. I should really join a guild. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of stuff. No, I wouldn't say that you miss out on a lot of stuff, to be honest. I was years actually not in a guild, and it's totally fine in my opinion. I would say you miss out on small things like guild missions if you want to do them. You miss out on stuff like those 10% boosts, but to be honest, it's not changing the world. You can go for some kind of cool community activities. That's more about it. But if you're not interested in that, it's not big of a difference. Yeah. But the buffs are, of course, helping. Yeah, for sure. And of course, you can join our guild. Very good point there by Heavenfire. If you need a guild, we actually are happy to take everyone that is friendly and civilized. Yeah, sure. Question from YouTube. Does your DPS DH build work in Fractals? Yes, of course. That's actually one of the best places to play it, because it has amazing bursts and it's perfectly there working. So try it out. It's really good. I think it's the second best DPS build that you can play, and the best build for pucks. So yeah, really, really good. Be sure to give it a try. Because the reason is the best option would be, like you can see here, Soul Beast. But Soul Beast, and that's the part where people don't understand, requires a very good group to really perform very well on it. Yeah. Because if you have a decent group and your support doesn't provide stability, your support is not providing the boons instantly, you have a bad just general DPS, then the burst is not that high, your overall sustain damage is not that high, and you get interrupted and all your damage is gone anyway. So this is why I would say Soul Beast is very situational, only working for really high-end groups. And therefore, I would rather go for something like a DH that is a little bit safer and has some self-buffing, or let's say like how is it called? The block is really helping. So that's why, for example, Chess is actually going for DH here, just because yeah, he doesn't know if I'm a good support, so that's why I'd rather go for something that is more self-contained and does everything by yourself, independent, than having to rely on your support to do everything for you, because that might in the end result in failure. Yeah. Of course, I try to support in a way that people can stand still and get stability and H's and stuff all the time. So I try to do that, but of course it's very hard to play support in a way that every other party member is actually capable of ignoring any mechanic, because especially in fractals and CMs, it's really, really hard. Okay, I did the CC, that's good. Yeah, very good. Just write me in either in-game or in Discord or whatever you want to join our guild. We can invite you. In World vs. World, I've been enjoying Catalyst staff build for smallish groups. We run double meteors for roaming. Do you recommend Dagger Catalyst more or Hammer Catalyst? I think it depends on your playstyle. I think Dagger is the more roaming style, fast-paced, mobile build that is a little bit less DPS focused, a little bit more sustainy. You will be probably better in outnumbered situations because you have more sustain. But the Hammer variant is the more aggressive one and might be the one that is, so to say, better in a 1-on-1. At least if you want to kill your enemy and not only survive. But I would say, overall, I would say Dagger is a little bit better, but it depends a bit on your playstyle. So if you want to be a little bit more mobile, Dagger is better, but if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, Hammer is better. But I would say Catalyst is really, really good in Circ with staff. But other than that, wait, I have to get the focus. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so that's my analysis of the situation. But of course, depends a bit on what you are facing. So for example, if you face an Harbinger, Dagger is way better. You know, Dagger is so much better because Hammer is very, very slow and the Harbinger applies a lot of chill or a lot of condis, and Dagger has way more cleanses. So it depends on what you're facing. For example, if you're facing a warrior, I think Dagger is not that crazy better. So it depends a bit. So Dagger and Hammer are both totally viable. That's the consensus here. So I was thinking about, because I recently watched a different game about where you also could heal. But in Guild Wars 2, you can heal. Yes, but all the attack skills like power attacks actually can crit. Would it make sense in Guild Wars 2 to have something that actually can crit on a heals? So would it be interesting so that a healing skill can have some kind of double the amount of healing if you crit? So that a healing build would actually take precision into account, so that it would make sense for a healer to run actually some kind of Magi gear that gives you healing power, concentration, and precision, so that you have to be really aggressive to actually get even more healing output. I think that would be really interesting. Of course, they will never change that. That's too late for that. What are they doing? Precasting? So that would be really interesting in my opinion. But I don't know. Would they do that in Guild Wars 3? Maybe. Maybe. Would be interesting. I actually like that thought, to make build crafting even more interesting, just by introducing the mechanic of having crit heals. That would be so interesting in my opinion. I don't know. Just from a build crafting perspective. I don't know if it's from a balancing perspective actually very worth it. But when it comes to other games, I think it actually makes sense that you have critical heals as well. I'm not so sure if I would go as far to even put some kind of crit modifier on it, so that you can say, okay, like Ferocity, you can have something that also gives you more critical hit healing. That would be even more advanced. I don't know if that would be very useful. But I think that would be a really cool introduction in a new game that is somewhat similar to Guild Wars 2. I don't know. Maybe that will happen in Guild Wars 3, maybe. Where's our 4th person? I'm soloing this thing. It's fine. But I think I have so many ideas if Guild Wars 3 will ever come out that would actually... I mean, I can try. Why are my boons gone? That's actually mean. Doesn't matter. Yeah, no problem. Welcome aboard then. I will invite you as soon as I see it after the stream. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about Guild Wars 3? Would you be happy about when it comes out? Would you be sad if there would be no maintenance for Guild Wars 2 anymore? I don't know. Would you be happy to just play something new? I don't know. I think there are many options about how you could actually see Guild Wars 3 coming out. I don't know. I really hope they develop something big in the background. I really hope so. Because currently I think Guild Wars 2 development looks like it's not doing too hot. So, I don't know. I'd be happy about it, but I feel like they're having to bring cosmetics across. So, something like, for example, Path of Exile did with Path of Exile 2, something like that. Yeah, maybe. That would be interesting. I think it has to be something like that, but they have to be careful, because if they really give you too much skins and stuff at the beginning, then that makes it so that you don't really want to play the game for what you actually get from the game itself. You want to play Guild Wars 2 to get the coolest skins. That would be not perfect. You should make it really safe and make it in a way that you actually have something to do in the new game as well, and not only go for skins that are in actually another game. Yeah. I think it would also not only affect cosmetics. I think they also have to think about stuff like, for example, bank expansion and that kind of stuff. If they really would do a new game that also has something like that, maybe it's an MMO that also has the same amount of things, then you should be really careful what kind of microtransactions you actually take over. Because of course they want to make money with the new game as well. So it should not have microtransaction that every single microtransaction that you made in the Guild Wars 2 will take over, because then it might be that no one actually wants to play the other game anyway. I don't know. You have to be careful. Yeah. But I think it would be a good thing to have some kind of things thrown over to the new game, because that makes it more interesting for people that play Guild Wars 2 right now. Because if you lose everything, I think a lot of people would just not play it, because they like to stick to something that they already achieved a lot. Which is fine. I just want to play something new, but other people might not have that sense. I don't know. I think Guild Wars 2 is already in maintenance mode. The expansion currently are small, basically level world season. I think Guild Wars 3 is also very far away and will be very different. Other MMOs like Ashes of Creation. Yeah, I agree. That was actually a comment from YouTube. I agree. I think, but to be honest, if they would announce it right now, that they are developing it, and it will be out in 5 years, I would be happy. To be honest, I would be happy. Because that would mean I have something to play Guild Wars 2. Until then, I can play Guild Wars 2, yes. But then, after that, I can play Guild Wars 3. So I will never have something where I would be really sad about, yeah? But I don't know. I agree that people would, if a lot of people actually would quit Guild Wars 2 or somewhat play it not that often anymore, if they would announce it right now. So I think they have to be really careful here, yeah? I get that, yeah? But what can you do, you know? They have to somewhat start developing it before you can announce it, because you can't announce a game if you didn't develop it, if it takes for 10 years or something to develop, yeah? That's not gonna work. People will just say that no one cares. I don't know. It's really important. As a new player, I want to enjoy Guild Wars 2 for a couple of years, but that just selfish. I agree, but you will probably have that anyway. I think Guild Wars 2 will exist for at least 5 more years, even if they announce Guild Wars 3. Even if they do. because it's not gonna come out in the next 3 years. That much is for sure. It's just very unlikely, yeah. And even if it comes out, you can play Guild Wars 2 anyway. I think the probability that you have something that is actually out and really having as much content as Guild Wars 2 is so low that you can play Guild Wars 2 anyway, you know, for the content and the gameplay and stuff. I don't know. Just like you can play Guild Wars 1 right now to get, for example, God Monks walking amongst mere mortals. Yeah? I don't know. They have to reward those who spend quite a bit of money, I feel like, to get them across. I agree. I think you have to make some kind of really interesting things to actually get into the new game as well from the old game, so that people actually stick to the genre, to the franchise. I agree with that. But I think they have to balance it very carefully. Because if you get all the things from Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 3, then you don't have any really incentive to grind the game then. Yeah, I think it has to be still very grindable, something longevity-wise in there, that you have to go for legendaries and stuff in the new game as well. Definitely. It should not be that you have everything carried over and you just play the game and then you will quit after a few months. That's not what they want. They want you to stick around for years. What? During recent years, I have played a lot of other MMOs to compare, and Guild Wars 2 is just no better than others. The biggest thing is that there is no item level and shitty mechs. Yeah, I agree. I think Guild Wars 2, that's why a lot of people come back to Guild Wars 2 right now, because actually there are so many MMOs that are new, but they don't have enough content. They have shitty mechanics, they have some really pay-to-win things in there. So Guild Wars 2 is just in a really good spot. It has a lot of content over the years. It's still amazing in combat, and it is one... Oops, misclicked here. It's still one of the best, if not the best MMO when it comes to just in general horizontal progression and how it is playing out, how long you can play it without really going for new gear. That's really, really helping to just come back whenever you want to, just to play a new character. That's really, really a big positive of the game for sure. Yeah. My only grip with Guild Wars 3 is that it has a similar combat system to Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the only thing that I want to have from Guild Wars 3 is to have a similar, if not even better, combat system. That is the only thing that matters to me. Really. I would play every game mode that they would introduce if it has the same amount of combat. That's just the best thing. And I think they will actually do it. There are indications of people, of Guild Wars 2 hiring, ArenaNet hiring people that are developing in the Unreal Engine 5. And that means that they have some kind of really 3D focused game. And if they just improve the engine, that would make it way easier for them to create more content in the new game. And if it has the same combat carried over, just in a better engine, that would be amazing. That just overall, it would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to make it smart though. If you, for example, if you have people that still play Guild Wars 2 and have no interest in going to Guild Wars 3, if that amount of people is too big, you will have a bad start of Guild Wars 3. So you have to carry over a decent amount of players into the new game. Otherwise, you will probably fail in the beginning. That's not good. You want to have a really good start, a really amazing journey starts with a really big head start. So that, like other MMOs, people should notice Guild Wars 3 and say, holy shit, I have to play this MMO. Even if I haven't played Guild Wars 2. That's really important. You have to catch those people as well. Really, really important. If you don't do that, it's probably just Guild Wars 2 people playing it. And that's not enough in the long run. You have to get new people as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's... there are so many games out there that have those gear grinds that really are annoying if you swap for the game for, let's say, a few months and or maybe half a year, then you have to go for new gear. That's really annoying. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that. That's really, really helpful. That's really helping players to just continue playing the game, even if they lost interest for a few months. That's really, really good. Definitely need to have that action-oriented combat. Yeah, that's true. After I played games like New World and Guild Wars 2 and I couldn't go back to tap target only. Yeah, I agree. I think I have big troubles getting into WoW and Final Fantasy just the way I did in Guild Wars 2, just because I feel like it's it might be fast-paced, but it's not as interesting to me to position yourself to really have some AoEs and that kind of stuff. It feels way more natural, in my opinion, to just have something like that. Like we have in Guild Wars 2. I don't know. How did they handle the transition from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2? It was at this... I have to be honest, it was a little bit before my time. But the transition they handled actually, in my... what I know from the others, is actually quite well. They had a time where you did not have any updates in Guild Wars 1 anymore. That is true. But they already announced Guild Wars 2. So people were still somewhat playing Guild Wars 1 and were knowing there will be a big game coming. And it was such an amazing hype. A lot of people actually played Guild Wars 2 at the beginning because there was such a big hype around the new game. So I think they handled the transition really well, in my opinion. But I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure if there will be legendaries or anything in Guild Wars 3, I don't know. I think it will not be anything that will be carried over. I think if they carry over legendaries and stuff, that's not gonna happen. Maybe the skins, but not the real item. I think that will not be worth it. They want to grind to the new game. So I think there will be legendaries or something like that for sure, but it will not carry over. That much, I'm 100% certain of that. Also keep it simple but simultaneously complex though. That way you don't need... Yeah, I think the add-ons in WoW and stuff, you should not have... The base game should have some kind of DPS meter and gear check, in my opinion. That's in my opinion, the biggest thing that Guild Wars 2 is missing. Because that makes it so that you have a really toxic environment and people just don't know what kind of gear you're running, and that makes it even more toxic with the kill proof. I think that's a really big topic. I don't want to go too deep in here, but I think they should introduce some kind of feature that helps people like that to get to see if you have someone decent on healing gear and not someone that is just trolling and having other gear. But that's just a very hot take here. But I think Guild Wars 2 needs, or Guild Wars 3 rather, should be very, very worthwhile to be played without any add-ons. I'm completely on board with that. I think the vanilla experience of the game should be so good that you don't have any necessity of actually running. Oh, come on. He dodged on me with the Moa. Yeah, so I think that's a big important thing for sure. Third time is the charm. Maybe Guild Wars 3 will finally end WoW's reign. I don't know. That would be really cool, but I think that's a very ambitious statement. Let's see. I mean, we still have years for that to actually work out, but maybe. Yeah, it's fast-paced, but you have skill shots and positioning requirements and yeah, I agree. I agree. I think a fast-paced combat does not, in general, involve a very fun combat too. You can have a fast-paced combat that is also tap target, yeah. But I think that I don't care about other games. I think Guild Wars 2's combat is just very, 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 very good. That's just my impression here. Yeah. Yeah, Guild Wars 2 is also, you know, I think playing a healer in Final Fantasy is fun, but playing a healer in Guild Wars 2 is actually way more, you know, you can predict movement. You can actually not only give barrier or heal, you can also, for example, dodge stuff, provide really... Oh, this guy is dead, actually. You can provide so much more than just base healing or barrier. So that's... I really like the amount of reaction. So you can teleport downstate players, you can resurrect them and that kind of stuff. That is really way more, you know, it's just the combat feels like a little bit more fleshed out, even for healers and tanks. So I don't know. It's just, in my opinion, such a good general direction, yeah. I hope that's it's the same in Guild Wars 3. I think Guild Wars 3, that's a very good point here by Nivi on YouTube. I think it will not have as many different game modes as Guild Wars 2 have. So Guild Wars 2 has PvP, it has World versus World, it has raids, it has fractals, it has strike missions, it has open world. I think it has way too many different combat styles that you have to implement in the same game. So I think they will probably cut down something. I think they might stick to World versus World and maybe open world and add some kind of dungeons or something. I think they would not go with all of them at the same time. I think it's very unlikely that they will go for PvP as well, because I think PvP is just too low amount of population. people would rather have something like World vs. World. But they could also stick to something that is completely different, because they say, okay, we have World vs. World and open world working in Guild Wars 2. Why should we create another game that is actually doing exactly the same? Why not stick to something that is the opposite? Could both be true. I don't know. It's their game after all. Maybe they are doing it, maybe they are not. I don't know. It's really, really hard. Yeah, the fractals are actually really annoying today, it's true. I mean, this one I like, but the other two are a bit annoying, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I personally, I like playing healer in this kind of content in Final Fantasy, in the high-level Savage and stuff, but just saying, yeah, that's my impression, I agree. They probably will only do one PvP mode instead of PvP World vs. World. Dungeons won't be there since old. Yeah, I mean, yes, not the old, not this kind of dungeons, but you could, something like fractals are also dungeons in a way. So they will probably have something like that. They will have some kind of instance content. I highly doubt that they will bring out a game without any instance contents. That is in the current game world not really good. I hope for something like fractals, but in infinite way. So you could infinitely scale it up. You can also play it solo. And that's the really cool part here. I think it would be really amazing if it would procedural generate more content. So you could have new maps and stuff designed with AI usage. That would be amazing. I don't know. Just my take. I think I'm dreaming a bit, but that would be really, really good. Yes, in Final Fantasy, your plan... Oh, sorry. I have to catch up on the chat later. I have to help Chess here. I don't know. My group is not really doing the job here. It's fine. There we go. Yeah, I think it's really... Why are we not... Why is it not working? Yeah, I think you should make a mix of maybe instance content with open world and also World vs. World. I think World vs. World is the biggest selling point of Guild Wars 2 if they would make it really, really interesting with reward-based structure and also very strong for new people to get into. I don't know. It would be amazing in my opinion. I don't know. I think that's the game mode I would say that's very likely to exist in Guild Wars 3. Just open world PvP. I think they will always have that for sure. Scaling fractals would be really amazing if you had also more content. I think the amount of fractals they actually add to the game is too low in Guild Wars 2. I think they should increase it so that people actually are getting more content. I think that's the biggest thing if you play. Guild Wars 2 has amazing content in my opinion, but the amount they create is too low. If they fix it with the new engine, they can create more content with more employees and stuff. That would be enough in my opinion to create more content. Then we actually would have amazing PvE, in my opinion. Yeah. To be honest, as a new player, distinction in all the different PvE instance content was confusing at first. I agree. I think they should streamline it a bit and make it... Don't stick to, let's say, 7 different names for strike missions, fractals, and that kind of stuff. That raids and strike missions are almost the same. It's just a single boss encounter, but no one knows. The names are so weird. So they should stick to something that is more recognizable. Yeah, I agree with that one for sure. No, we don't need to. We actually did it with 2 people. It's doable. You don't need to protect. You can do it without protection. You can also use stability and ages to prevent knockback and actually do it alone. But it's a little bit more advanced. Chess tried to do it, but they failed. It's fine. We did it with 3. I want to enjoy World vs. World more, but I've only started World vs. World in the last few months and it seems a lot more Zerg focused. It depends a bit when you are playing and what you are doing, but I agree Zerg is very much the focus right now. Roaming is very... I wouldn't say it's dead, but it's quite unpopular. Not a lot of people actually play roaming anymore. So yeah, it's more like you play Zerg and that's it. Typically you go for fights, you dive for really big defense events and that kind of stuff. If you enjoyed it, that's good. If you don't, that's obviously a little bit sad because you can't change it. If you're a roamer and you get run over by 30 people, yeah, that feels bad. I know your feeling. Yeah, definitely. I just spend some more time in there, yeah. No, we did it actually, so it's fine, we did it. Yeah, roaming in Eternal Battlegrounds is actually not doable. You can't do that. It's just, especially on the higher level servers, it's actually not doable. There are so many people around all the time, you can't really roam. You will always get ganked by 10 person plus a squad. It's just not working out. But it's fine, you don't have to always have roaming on every map. I think it's, if you can go on Alpine Borderlands and roam, I think that's fine. You don't have to roam on EBG, in my opinion. I don't know. Okay, we are almost done with Fractals, that's good. It was quite a long Fractal run today, I have to admit. So, hopefully we get the one-shot here. Doesn't look like it. Maybe. Very good. Random question. Does Drizzlewood North reward Eternal Ice Shards? No, it doesn't, as far as I know. It doesn't. Drizzlewood doesn't give you anything related to Ice Shards. I think Plora Marches is the only map where you get Ice Shards, and from the strike missions. So that's, Drizzlewood is not for that. Drizzlewood gives you other things, but Eternal Ice Shards is not one of them. Which is okay. I think not every web has to give you currency that you get from Icefruit Saga. I think that's fine. I think Eternal Ice Shards is actually one of the currencies that you get a lot in all the other game modes that you play. So what do we have? Just cleaning the inventory and then we go to some other content. So much stuff you get from Fractals all the time, it's actually crazy. So always, if you want to min-max, always attune your rings, don't infuse them, always attune them. It gives you a little bit more gold if you salvage them. You get more gold back than you would invest in on average here, so always do that. I know I tell that every time I stream and do that, just that you know, it's very helpful. Get a little bit more stabilizing matrices, and those sell, of course, for more gold. Very good. Usually I never struggle with Eternal Ice. It's just that... yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can convert the Eternal Ice Shards into volatile magic, and then you can use the volatile magic to get gold. So typically people have a lot of Eternal Ice Shards, convert them, and get some gold out of it. But if you need them for Living World achievements, or if you need them, for example, for some kind of legendaries, it can be actually not annoying, but it's really sad that you sold them for gold, because gold is something that you can get with every single game mode, but Eternal Ice Shards is a little bit harder to get, but it's one of the currencies that are very, very easy to get, so don't worry about it too much. Just to do some strike missions, maybe Drakar and stuff, and you get enough. Nice, 100 gold, just there. Very good. Fractals are very rewarding. What are the easiest 2022 slot bags you can get? I was thinking in the Fractal ones, I don't know. So the Fractal ones, you're right there. The Fractal ones are very easy to get if you have Fractal relics. But be aware though, those Fractal ones, I can show you. The Fractal ones have one major disadvantage. And that's the that I don't want to have, and that's why I don't use them anymore. You can buy them very cheap, but they have, for example, this one. If possible, weapons and armor of uncommon rarity will fill this box before other empty spaces. That doesn't seem too bad, but you can't move equipment around. So if I use that one, no, wait. If I use it here and put something in there, no, wait, I wanted to, okay. So, is it in there now? No. 1 second, I can show you. So if I now put it here in this fractal box, it's in the fractal box. I want to compact, it's not compacting anymore because it's this one, so to say, doesn't compact. That's just ignoring the compact button. And I think I like the compact button to make my inventory look cleaner. So if you want to have that, don't go for the fractal ones. Just my tip here. Thanks for the tier 1. Thanks a lot, really. Appreciate Echo Fox. Really appreciate. Thanks a lot. So that's why I would say I personally like rather going for the 20 slot Gossamer bags. It's the very cheapest way. It costs a little bit more than 10 gold. You can craft them for 10 gold and 20 silver or something. You can buy them directly for 11.50. You can order them. Sometimes you actually get them for cheaper. So you can actually get them quite cheap. I think that's the easiest way. You can also go for the Halloween ones that are exactly the same like the Gossamer ones. Just you can get them for Candy Corn Cops. But it's more expensive and a little bit more annoying. So I would go for the Gossamer ones. If you want to go for how's it called? Bigger bags. So if you want to go in the future for bags that are actually expandable to 32 slot bags, you have to go for Boreal bags, or that's my opinion, that's the best option, because the Boreal bags use Eternal Ice and Hydrite ingots. So you can get them from, for example, from Icebrood Saga Strike 5 missions. And those can be really helpful because then you get a little bit cheaper the 32 slot bags, but they are really expensive anyway, so they cost 200 gold per bag, so this is the biggest thing, yeah. Yeah. So I would say going for the TP is the best option, yeah. Yeah, this is my character that's only using bags. Yeah, that's only saving bags. Yeah, I don't know. I have all my account is, so to say, a little bit structured. This character is only saving my bags. Yes. Just finished Chantier campaign to snag last Wizard's World buff before reset. Actually crazy. I did it just in time. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, I like to explain this. Perfect. If it helped you. Very good. Very good. Okay, so I wanted to do some strike missions to get even more Eternal Ice shots. I guess we can do this. Oh, I hate it that you can't join from here. That's so annoying. It's really annoying. Why can't you join a squad from the homestead? It's really annoying. A little structured. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I played the game for way too long. You know, that's just how it is. I'm really sorry. And no, it's gone. Okay, it's fine. Getting used to Sword Dagger, quick DPS, cutter rotation in combat. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I think it's a very nice fluid rotation if you get it going. I think I like it. I like it actually better than the Spear one, just because it's a little bit more fast-paced and a little bit less painful if you don't get the etching right. I feel like the etching is really annoying on Spear. I don't know. Yeah, it's true. I think you have a lot of evades and stuff and ports and stuff that helps a lot. I guess we go for one PvP match then if no one is here. It's fine. Let's do some PvP. I don't like the off-season. I don't like 3v3 too much. I know some people like it a lot, but I don't like it. I'd rather play unranked. 3v3, to be honest, feels like always so... I can play one if you really... So would you really have to play me 3v3? It's fine, we can do it. So if the chat is up for it, we can do some 3v3. But you will see it's just very, very... I don't know. I get a Mechanist and a Core Warrior in my match, and I feel like I'm gonna lose this anyway. And then the enemy team has even worse players, and then we actually win 3-2. And then I feel like, should I really queue up again just to gamble what kind of players I get? I think that's really, really annoying. I don't know. So if you're really interested in a 3v3, we can do that, but I would rather go for some unranked, I would say, because there's the gameplay and stuff is a little bit more interesting in my opinion. But I don't know, maybe. Thanks for the follow, Sahil, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, I think there are many ways you can play 3v3 right now, but if you queue against good players, there's so many annoying comps that you can play. I don't know. Question from YouTube. I'm in between maining Millbender or Spellbreaker. In roaming, I want a class that has depth to it to get really good with it. What are your inputs on what class would be better between these two? So for roaming, I would say Spellbreaker is a build that is very, very good if you want to go for 101s. Spellbreaker is a very skillful build for 101s just because it has amazing denial and CC. For roaming, so where you really want to go for not fair 101s, but some kind of outnumbered situations maybe as well, it's actually not as strong in my opinion right now because it's actually not too good. But when it comes to Willbender, I think Willbender is very good if you're going for some bursty, not fair fights, you want to kill someone really fast, you can also kill people outnumbered really fast, you're very mobile, but you're really squishy. So Willbender, in my opinion, is for the people that want to play really aggressive, is very fun. But if you don't want to think about a lot of things, typically something a little bit more tanky like a Spellbreaker is better in outnumbered situations because Willbender gets killed so fast. You have no defensive almost. So that's why I would say Willbender for World vs. World is a little bit better for aggressive players, and for a little bit more defensive players, I would go for Spellbreaker. I think Virtuoso in World vs. World, you play something really aggressive like Marauder or Demolisher. I think that helps in the Zerg play just to kill more people. Also for roaming, I would say that's the best option. Okay, so we are in a 3v3. Let's see what we have here. We have a Mirage that will instantly die for sure against the Willbender. We have a Harp and I don't know, that looks already scuffed. I think we have an inferior team comp. If that's a support, we are already done for. Let's see. Maybe it's not a support. Maybe we are better anyway. Yeah, Dagger Mirage with permaday spam. I mean, I'm glad they removed it in World vs. World and PvP just because it's really annoying. But in PvE, it was actually a... I would say it's actually in PvE, it was a very cool build that you could play in soloing, especially. I don't know. Yeah, I play a lot of different classes, so this time it's Willbender. Let's see what we play next. It's time to put on the carry pants. I mean, let's see. Oh, it's actually an interesting Willbender build. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I feared. They engage. I can't deny the engage here. And we're instantly dead. Because they have a stealth. You know, the Mesmer stealthed them. And I knew if I would not be the target, my ally dies. Ah, that feels so bad. That's why I don't like to play 3v3, because what can I do here if I'm not playing support, you know? I can't try and kill the Willbender. I can do that. But most likely, my ally is still dead. Ah, it feels really bad. At least it's over very fast. This is a power chrono, so we can actually kill them. That's the good thing. You need to be a better Willbender than my enemy. That's true. But the problem is they actually died also to the gravity well. They stood in the gravity well and instantly died. So the Willbender actually was free casting. That's the problem. I think solo queuing in 2v2s and 3v3s is just not fun. Because it's even more gambling what teammates you get than in the Conquest match. In a Conquest match, at least you can carry somewhat if you win outnumbered situations, if you troll people, if you go for really good rotations. But in 3v3 death matches and 2v2, it's actually not that easy to carry, because if your teammate dies, it's 99% of the time it's over. You know, it's just not possible to carry that much here if your teammate is just trolling. It's a power Mesmer, please kill the power, Mesmer. Oh my god, this is C-spam. God damn. Oh, finally. You see, top healing and top damage? Deluxe. It's so volatile. Willbenders are so volatile. Sometimes you kill them, sometimes you get killed. It's just insane. How much 3v3 would you need to get to the final chest for 3v3 contender achievements? It's actually not too much. I think you need 20 matches, 25 matches or something, depending how many you win. Nice. We got them. So it's not too much if you need the achievement, and if you want to go for some, for example, you get those really nice shards that we mentioned earlier for the legendaries. Those shards are actually very worthwhile to grind here, just because it's actually quite fast-paced, especially if you have a pre-made team. But it can also be quite painful if you solo queue. So just be aware of that. Just play it if you're really having fun. Yeah. I love Willbender because of that volatility. I agree. I think Willbender is very fun to play and watch, but it's also very stressful if you are a new player. So they always stealth here. Oh, we get another stealth. Ooh. No, my teammate is dead. I can't help them. Maybe not yet, but almost. I think I actually blinded the elite. Okay, this guy's dead. No, they got the heal through. Oh, he cancelled the elite in time. Okay, we can maybe get the counter kill here. No, we can't. Nice, we got this one. Get the kill, please. Please get the... Oh, that's actually annoying, the slows and stuff, but we get the kill here, I guess. Nice, we won. Easy win. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just, you have to change in the situation. You can't always say, stick to that target. Sometimes you just swap to someone else, and that will just kill them. You know, the swap might be very helpful. It's always important that you just play according to the situation. You cannot always say, I stick to that target no matter what. Sometimes that's the correct decision, but oftentimes you have to change according to the current situation. That's just how it is. Yeah. I mean, that was a close match. It was actually quite fun. Sometimes it's really fun. Sometimes it's actually really annoying. I don't know. Yeah. All about the pain train. I mean, I would say if you go for it and have fun, it's actually okay. You should not go for 3v3s if you say, I only do it for the Ascended Shards of Glory, because then you will probably not have enough fun to play it. Just saying. I think you should always play the game mode that is fun to you. You should not go for something that is just giving you the rewards that you need, because oftentimes that will just lead to annoying gameplay, to maybe even burnout. Just stick to something that you want to have and have fun with. Yeah, just saying. Exactly, yeah. I think, especially on a Willbender, you should always take into consideration, okay, the enemy just used their cooldowns, I swap to this enemy. If I stick to one target that still has 2 cooldowns, that will not pay off in the long run. So always go, for example, if I see the enemy Necromancer just double dodged, instantly engage on this target. They don't have any defensive anymore. They are dead. They are dead. They can't do anything against you. So stuff like that, of course, it's in the heat of combat, it's a little bit harder to see. Just saying, it's really important that you see when something happens. If, for example, the Necromancer Elite was casted, they don't have stability anymore, engage on them. Something like that, that helps. If the Willbender used the invulnerability skill, engage on them. They are very easy targets, stuff like that. But of course, that's just experience. You will get there in the end. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Maybe we get some strike missions going now. Yeah, the crafting marks are actually also very helpful. That's true. I have some of them lying around as well. So I use them actually as well, even though I can craft them myself. But you can actually get those boxes from the PvP reward tracks or PvP league tracks really easily. And you can then get, for example, the Ascended skins or the Legendary skins there as well. That's really helpful. So that's what I'm going for. I don't have all the skins yet in PvP, so I want to grind them. That's why I'm saving them up in the bank here. Yeah, good call there. So we actually have a queue on EB, so let's go for World vs. World, I guess, and try to get some queue action, some World vs. World fun going. Maybe we have some good Zerg fights that are actually also, this time our server wins, because last time we actually had really big difficulties in the last 4 weeks. Our server, or I think it was 4 weeks, our server was really bad. It lost every single matchup, we lost everything, and now I hope it's better. Yeah. We can also win some fights. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Lord. But now it's better, I hope. I really hope so. Let's check it out. Yeah, I think our server should be better this time. I mean, it just started yesterday. We have the highest kills. That's already a good sign. That means that we at least have a decent amount of squads going and stuff killing each other. We are not a PPT server, so we are not going for points apparently, because we are not the best in terms of points, but that's fine. I don't care too much. I want to have winning fights. That's more interesting at least. Sometimes it's really a bit annoying. If you're not in a World vs. World guild, sometimes you can't just get into the squads. So that's a little bit sad. Let's see if we have an open tag in World vs. World in EBG. That would help a lot. Thanks for the follow, Exilus. Hope you're enjoying the stream. So this is the hammer build that I talked before about with Catalyst. It's a really, really nice bursty build. It's really fun to play. I like it currently very much. But of course you can also play the Dagger variant, which is also maybe even better, I would say. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Sometimes it's not even that you need to join a guild. Sometimes you can also just have friends that they invite you to the World vs. World Discord, and they also interact with you. But if you want to join the alliance, of course, then you need the last guild slot. I think guild slots and Guild Wars 2 are very, very common to be full. So people just use all the 6 all the time. So that's just... Okay. Yeah, Greatsword Mirage is really, really good as well in World vs. World. Even after, especially after the buffs, it's actually crazy. So be sure, if you enjoy Massimo, this is with Virtuoso together one of the best builds that you can play in a Zerg scenario, for sure. So how long is the queue still? 6. Okay, I guess we will be there in a short amount of time. Yeah, I think Marauder and Demolisher, those 2 stats are amazing in World vs. World. The reason for that is it gives you more stats in total than having Berserker gear, because you get 4 stat pieces, give you a little bit more overall stats than 3 stat pieces. That's the first plus. And the second plus is you have power and precision main stat, and precision is harder to cap in World vs. World than in PvE. So it makes a lot of sense to just go for that. And it also, the vitality helps, of course, to survive. And of course, if you go Demolisher, it's not vitality, but it's toughness. It's also fine. Yeah. So Vert is good in World vs. World, crazy. The profession is nothing for survivability aside from FDF4. So in World vs. World, Virtuoso is good because of 2 things. First of all, you have a lot of ranged with the Blade Songs. So you can attack enemies from 1200 range. That's already a big plus. Oh, we have a mirage here. Very good. How many dodges does this guy have? It's actually insane. Yeah, now he's dead. Easy. Yeah, so Virtuoso is good because of the range, and that's the important part, it has a trait in the Grandmaster trait, the upper Grandmaster trait, gives you on dodge unblockable blade songs. That means that you can use your blade songs and ignore reflects, which is obviously really insane in World vs. World, because then you can just ignore all the mechanics that would deny your damage. So this is really the reason why you can play Virtuoso in World vs. World. My friends play Virtuoso, so if he's on, I'm always on Willbender, and yeah, I play Marauder on Willbender. Yeah, Marauder makes sense. I think that's what I would also play. Marauder is just the superior stat for World vs. World. Yeah. A good word is really good in a Zerg fight. Unblockable bursting and boon rip. Yeah, exactly. That's the second part. You have unblockable boon rip because every single blade will remove a boon, which is obviously insane because you have so many blades that you can cast all the time. And that means that you have so much boon rip from range that's actually crazy. So that's why it's so good. Yeah. I mean, you don't play with... I'm not sure if you even play with Dagger. I think you play Greatsword. Yeah. I think the weapon skills on Word are actually not that important, to be honest. You will probably play shield for defense, but it's more about the blades, the blade songs. So yeah, F2, F4 maybe. The F5 is not that crazy, but the F4 helps, and F1 and F2 is really, really good. Those two are the bread and butter of the build. So the weapons are not that insane. Yeah. The spear is good because you're melee and you cleave a lot. But if you are on a range set, you typically just use your blade songs. Maybe the Greatsword auto attack, but everything else is not that crazy, I would say. Because the Phantasms will instantly die, and other thing is not that crazy good, yeah. Yeah, I think the unblockable on evade is just... This is a trait that is really, really nasty. That's a design that is... I think it's fun, but it's also very hard to counterplay, because how can you counterplay that? Not really, you just have to dodge it. But in a Zerg scenario where there is 50 people around you, it's really hard to dodge a skill like that. So I think the counterplay for that skill is a little bit lackluster, if it's even there, yeah. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of something like that, but I think it makes sense as a build to exist. That's just my take, of course. Oh, come on. Let me out of combat, please. Can't we build with class, but more defensive trait and food for some nice build in World vs. World? Yes, you can, but typically having a little bit more life with Marauder, so a little bit higher health pool, just helps you to survive, because oftentimes if you just get hit by anything random, you might die to it. Yeah. And that's the reason why you want to have a little bit of defenses in your gear as well. Yeah, just because of that. I don't know. By the way, if you have 2 equipment templates, can you save the same legendary gear with 2 different stats? So like Open World is Viper and World vs. World is Celestial, for example. Yes, you can do that. You can swap around just like I do. So example, I have Hammer Catalyst here, which is using Marauder stats. And then I have on the second template, I use the same gear, just with different stats, which is in this Ritualist gear. So you can swap around very easy and use the same gear. Yes, that's correct. I find the vitality is... Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. I think having a little bit more effective health is helping you to survive. That's just the fact, yeah. Yes. So, of course, that's also the case. What I just talked about is every single legendary piece can be used in multiple slots. Yes, that's correct. The only thing that you have to keep aware of, though, You can't use, for example, the same ring in 2 ring slots. That's the only thing, of course. And you can't use the underwater spear if you only have 1 spear. You can't use the land spear and the underwater spear. So that's why I have 3 spears, because if I needed to run, for whatever reason, a spear on land and a spear underwater, then I can have 3 spears. But of course, that's just a very niche scenario. Is it correct to assume that the Ellie can't never be pure power build because conditions are built in every skill and weapon it uses? No, that's not true. I would say you typically play full whatever you are going for. So if you're going for full condi, you go for full condi. But typically you're right. If you want to min-max, you can also go for something a little bit more hybridy, because all your skills also apply some nice hybrids things. But I would say typically, for example, in PvP and stuff, you play a build that is going for either full power or full condi. Typically, you don't swap too much around. Yes, you can run 2 conflux if you have 2 of them. You can't run 1 conflux only. If you only have 1 at least. That's looks like a annoying 101, I have to be honest. I hate Spear Untamed. It's so broken. It's actually insane. Yeah, it's true. Conflux had some weird stuff going, but still, I'm not the biggest fan. I think you should have 2 different rings. I think it's more for fashion as well. You can have then these bubbles floating around you. This one. Wait, I'm missing one. Where's the last one? This one. All the bubbles here. This is, you know, if you want to be a real, completely, all your fashion, that's insane. All the bubbles, I don't know what it really is, but that's what you can do. Yeah. So do we have a commander here? Yes, we do. Nice. Okay. I mean, I learned in the past that round and weaken are power conditions, but all the other are condis. Fire, poison, chill, bleed is fire. Yeah, it's true. You are right there that, of course, condis are more, let's say, favoring condi builds. That's true. But in general, I would say just because a weapon does have some kind of condi on it doesn't mean you need to run it as a condi weapon. Yeah. So, for example, the hammer that I'm currently playing has some kind of condis on it as well. So this one has burning on it, and this one has immobilize and bleeding on it. But I'm running it as a pure power build, and I'm still getting value from the weapon. So Elementalist can be played in multiple ways. You can play it as a hybrid with Celestial, so you get both things, power and condi. Or you can play it as a full condi, or you can play it as a full power build. There are so many options there. But the important part is you have to understand what you are playing and how you should be playing it. Because only then it actually is performing well. Just saying. Welcome, Favus. Welcome. And question from YouTube. I want a class to do everything in PvE and can roam it in World vs. World. But I can't decide. I'm between Necro and Mesmer. I try every class but chose one to main. It's very difficult. Any tip? So, for roaming right now, Necromancer is in a really, really good spot in World vs. World. So Harbinger is really, really good. You have Power Harbinger, you have Celestial Harbinger. They're all really, really good. Other than that, I would say Mesmer for roaming is decent, but is not as good as Harbinger. For PvE, I would say Mesmer is in a very good spot. So both classes, I would say, are very good in Zerg play. But in roaming, I would say Necromancer pulls ahead. When it comes to PvE, both classes are very good. I would say Mesmer is a little bit better in my opinion, just because it's very versatile with Chrono and also with Virtuoso, a very good build as well. So there are many good options. I think I made a video about it a while ago where I showcased every single class regarding every single elite specs and stuff, how you can, what can it do, how it's performing. I can link it to you in chat. Give me a second. So this is something that helps a lot, of course. If you see how the class plays in the game modes, how it actually looks, how it's actually fun to play. And I give you a short summary of what it can do. So that's the link. Be sure to check that out if you need a little bit more help. Deciding at least. Yeah, see you around 6 shots. See you. Thanks for joining. Ellie reminds me of Guardian in that part of... Because Guardian have built burn. Yeah, I agree. There are some things that make it a little bit hard to understand which kind of build you should run with a weapon. But typically that's just because they want to have a weapon that, for example, Scepter is a power or a Condi weapon. But they want you to give the option to, depending on your gear, and not the weapon that you choose. And Guardian has the same. Guardian, for example, has a lot of burning application built into the kit. But you don't have to run a Condi build to actually play this kind of weapon. And I think that makes a lot of sense and is very important, because if they wouldn't do that, we would have a big problem to decide how to craft more stuff. Because if you always are deciding with the weapon already what kind of gear stats you need to use, it feels very boring. And I think this is really good that they went for that kind of stuff, so that we at least can say, okay, I'm playing a Condi staff and I'm playing a power staff. It doesn't matter. The staff is not the thing that is actually deciding what kind of build you're running. It's just giving you the utility that you need to actually make the build work. I think that's a very good design thing. Yeah. You think Spear Condi LA would work good? I think you can make it work, but I would say it's not very good, because the etchings are more helping power damage, I would say. It's just... I feel like Spear is more designed as a power weapon. There are some weapons, for example, like Staff is not providing a lot of Condi damage, like Spear is not providing a lot of Condi damage. So there are a lot of, I would say, weapons that are, let's say, tending towards one direction, yeah, but they are still playable with one thing, yeah. But I would say you can play every single weapon on Elementalist with a Condi build, because you have the inherent traits that give you Condi damage as well. So fire has always some kind of burning application, and it might be enough to actually make it work. But it's not as clearly defined as, for example, okay, it's actually really weird to find an example where it's really sure you have to run it Condi. Maybe, okay, Torch on Necromancer. Okay, that's a good example. Torch on Necromancer is definitely a Condi weapon. You will never run it on a power build. Something like that. But that's just... I think weapons in Guild Wars 2 in a really good design space, because you don't have to run a specific build with a weapon. You can say this weapon works in this build and in this build. That's really good design in my opinion. But of course you can disagree with me, but that's my take. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Turn. Really appreciate it. I don't know, I think I really hope that the design continuing in Guild Wars 2, but also the design continuing in everything that is related to the new game, maybe Guild Wars 3, is actually also in that regard. That you have way more build crafting and theory crafting than just saying, okay, I'm equipping a staff, and the staff is a healer. I think I like it way more if you have something like a weapon that provides skills, and you can, so to say, yeah, shape it in the form that you want to really play this as the weapon. So a staff in PvP can be played as a healing build, with a healing build. But a staff in World vs. World can be built as a full glass cannon build as well, just because you have the options with Meteor Shower and stuff. So I think this is really, really nice that you have so many different options to actually make it work. I really like that. And I hope they do that in the new game as well. Yeah. I have a request to you to think if you would like to work on. Yeah, sure, let me know. What is it? I'm always open for requests. If they are somewhat reasonable, I would say. So we had it before, I just wanted to mention it again. So if I want to min-max my gain of my World vs. World experience gain, I have the World vs. World enrichment in my enrichment slot. That gives me 10% more experience. I have the guild buff that gives me 10% more experience gain. I have, of course, the experience booster from my candy corn gobbler. Or you can also use it with the experience, where is it? Yeah, with the experience booster that you can get from gemstone and stuff. That gives you 50% more experience and reward rate gain. Really, really good. Then you use Ascended Food. Gives you also 10% more world experience. Then you use the Festival Gobbler, which is, I'm using the Snowflake Gobbler. That gives me no experience, but it gives me more reward rate gain. And I'm using, of course, the Celebration Boost, which gives me 100% boost to World versus World gain and 10% boost to reward rate gain. And if I'm knowing I'm capturing something, then I'm also going for the World versus World experience boost that I have stuck up here. That gives me 50% more. So you get a lot of World versus World experience if you do it like that. Just saying, this is a big plus if you know how to stack those things, because in the end you will get way more experience and way more level ups, and level ups will not only give you the rank, the title and stuff, but it will also give you more gold. So that's the way I play World versus World, is just having booster maxed all the time. Yeah. So let's see if we can find someone here. Could you do a deep dive video about classes, like what weapons are favored more and what combinations with great stats for building power, condi, support builds, for build crafting, and of course... Oh, there are a lot of people here. So how many... Let me fight this first and I can read the comment. Oh, they have a lot of condis here. There are 3 people. I think we can't win this actually. I'm running. Let me live. Oh, that was a nasty boost shot. They got me. Okay, so a deep dive. If I would go over all builds or all classes and just explain what kind of weapon they use or what they are used for and how they can be used, I mean, that would be interesting for sure. I'm not sure if a lot of people would actually watch that, because I think a lot of the Guild Wars 2 community is actually not really going for build crafting themselves, you know? I would say 85% of the community or something feels like they are just seeing, oh, this is a really good build, I copy it. They're not thinking about too much of creating a build on their own, which is, I think, totally fine. You don't have to do that. But in my opinion, creating a build on your own needs a deep understanding, not only about your own build that you want to create, but also, especially if you want to go for competitive modes, also about builds that are actually in the current meta. Yeah. 1 second. I think you always have to look into builds that are actually also having into not a vacuum. So you have to look at a build into the current situation. How is, for example, Power Word is really good, but currently you have some other build that is destroying Power Word in the meta. So probably Word is worse than, yeah? So that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it would be really interesting to talk about stuff like that. Maybe I do a video and just talk about, for example, all the weapon skills that Mesmer has and explain why and how they can be used. So what, for example... So, maybe, yeah. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people just go to Snowcrows in PvE. They go to Meta Battle for PvP and World vs. World and that kind of stuff. But typically, it's actually way more involved to create a build on your own. Yeah. So, just saying. Yeah, just saying. It's a suggestion up to you if you would like to take it. That's nice. It's a good suggestion. I'm always up for suggestions. So, thanks for that. Yeah. Do you know that today is a special day? That's right, it's your community's Shadow the Most. So it's the CM training day. Can't wait. I have to be honest. We will do that in the future. Don't worry about it, EcoFox. But I think this is one of the hardest runs to actually train because you have 3 bosses that are all quite heavy in mechanics that are actually not that hard, but a lot to explain to a somewhat new player. So I would say we do that, but we have to take a big amount of time for that. I would say a whole stream to actually go for that. And we need a lot of people that are interested in that. So we need at least 2 more trainees and maybe someone experienced as well to help out again. So we will do that. Don't worry about it. But it's not today. Sorry. I'm really sorry. That's true. Maybe I do a video about the stats and the weapon choices, but where it's actually useful and that kind of stuff. I would probably do it then like saying Mesmer, all weapons, and going over them and explaining them. That's a really good idea. Maybe I do that, yeah? And explaining just different game modes, how they actually look, how you can play a weapon. If actually Mesmer X is actually also a power weapon, something like that. Yeah, maybe, yeah. No, it's fine. I actually understood the joke, EcoFox. I actually understood it, yeah. You know, an efficient way of farming experience in Heart of Thorns. Just been spamming events. It feels like a bad thing. Let me check if I have map here. Yes. So one of the most efficient ways to actually farm in Heart of Thorns is back here in this area. There are a lot of spiders and veterans that you can actually farm. I think this is still up to date. You can still do that. And this actually helps you to progress a lot. But I'm not sure if it's still that good as the beginning of Heart of Thorns, to be honest. But typically meta events like Dragon Stand is the best way to go. So I would go for Dragon Stand, and that's probably the safest way. Because if you just go for Dragon Stand, so the final meta event, and farm all the mobs there, and with all the boosters, you get a lot of experience there. Yeah. Yeah, it's true, of course, it's true. So, let's do a Bone Skinner. I'm Alacrity, I can't remember, but I think I am. So, let's see. Yeah. Okay, very good. The opener was nice. Now bring some CC. Ah, Bone Skinner. Very good boss. Ah, top DPS, that's nice. Almost. I will read the chat after this, okay? Just want to concentrate here. Don't want to fail the Bone Skinner. You know, that would be horrible, failing Bone Skinner. Such a well-designed boss fight. I think for how easy it actually is, I think it's a very good boss fight. It doesn't have too many mechanics that you have to take care of. I don't know, it's a very fun fight. Very nice, very nice. Not top DPS, that's sad. But almost, you know. Elect DPS is second place. I take it. I have created a Catalyst build on my own. It took me only 1 hour to find out that I have the same build as Hardstock for World vs. World roaming. I haven't seen this build before, sad life. I mean, the thing is, if you came to the same conclusions as somewhat really experienced veterans, then good job there. Yeah, that's really good on. That's very nice. I would say, why is that a bad thing if you have the same build? I mean, you don't have to do something really crazy new, because if you came up on your own, you actually understand the game to such a degree that you can make it work. I think that's a good thing. I don't know. I would say congrats on that rather than being sad about it, yeah. The commander did, damn summer, your quickness uptime sucks. Yeah, something like that would be horrible. That's why I am so happy if I can play something else than Chronomancer, because I know, for example, Druid has alacrity. I can't provide quickness. But on Chronomancer, I always have to think twice, do I have quickness or do I have the alacrity roll? I can't remember, you know? And then I have to check the trade again. So that's why this is actually the hardest part about the class for me, is to check the trade if it's the correct one. I'm not joking. In your opinion, Condi or Power Virtuoso? I would say Power Virtuoso. After the recent nerfs to Condi Virtuoso, it's only a build that is in really, really, really hard fights it's worth it to run. In all other builds, fights, I would say it's not worth it. Power Virtuoso is superior in every way, I would say. That's just my take. But in my opinion, oftentimes Power is just, in 99% of the really normal fights, it's better to run Power. Just my take, yeah. Welcome, Same. Welcome. Glad you enjoy my stream. I mean, I try my best. I'm not as, let's say, popular as I could be, but I'm trying my best. So let me know if you have any feedback, any constructive criticism. I'm always happy, open for that. So please let me know. It's crazy. Look at those spoons. We have all those spoons permanently. I think they should really, in the new, if Guild Wars 3 came out, I think boons is a really cool idea. But I think boons should be completely changed in how they work. They should work in a way that you have to apply them when there is a burst phase. You get 25 might when there is a burst phase. And not have might 100% of the time. Yeah. So that you have to really think about the boons and not spam them all the time. I think that would be such a good thing. Yeah, I don't know. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Perfectly. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Raiders. We're just debating about new things about Guild Wars 3 that we want to have and that we want to change if it will ever come out, while I'm doing some Iceblood Saga Strike missions. Welcome, everybody. Hope you had a nice day so far. I think that would be really cool if you had boons in Guild Wars 3, but at the same time, they have more impact. So that you have to think, okay, I apply protection now, because in the next 10 seconds, I will get way too much damage to actually handle it. But then the protection will run out, and I can't apply more for the next 30 seconds. So I really have to think about when I apply my boons to my party. Yeah, that would be way more interesting than just spamming all your buttons like a, let's say, normal Chronomancer does. So if I'm a heal Chronomancer, I just spam all my buttons and see I have so many boons, yeah? That's, in my opinion, not a really good design, you know? It would be way more interesting if a fight is somewhat hard because you have to understand when to apply your boons, yeah? That would be so amazing. I don't know. And I totally agree with you, the Baron, that it was back in the core game, that was the intended design of. But over the years, especially with the newer expansions, I would say, especially part of Fire actually, made it really, really bad how much boons you actually got all the time. And I would say it always went even that far that in PvP and World vs. World, it's actually the same, especially in World vs. World. In PvP, not so much. I think PvP is a little bit harder, stricter balanced, so I would say that's true. But I would agree with you, Echo Fox, that it would make the boon rolls a ton harder. I agree, which is not good in my opinion, because the boon rolls are already somewhat hard to play in contrast to DPS. That's true. But I think it would make the game, or especially instance content, way more interesting to design, because you can then think about way more than just having all those boons permanently, and you have to balance your boss fight around that. Look at the DPS that is required to actually kill Doctor and Zeros. They have way more health than, for example, Veil Guardian, which is insane. You know, there are strike missions that are very easy, and they have higher health just because people had, or the developers had to actually counteract the amount of power creep we got with all those boons. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah, maybe with Revenant, maybe Revenant was the reason in Heart of Thorns. That was already starting there. But I think back at Heart of Thorns, they had still the amount of, let's say, uniqueness to a class. For example, only Chronomancer could provide, for example, Alacrity. So it made it a little bit harder to min-max that. You couldn't upkeep it 100% at the beginning. So it was a little bit different. But slowly over time, they said, okay, we will give Alacrity to every class. We will give every single support the option to upkeep 100% of their boon while still giving, for example, 25 might or something. And then it slowly really went into the direction that you have every single boon permanently. We are at a spot where we have almost permanent stability, where we have almost permanent resistance if you have a good support, which is insane. It's absolutely insane, because those boons are very situational and you still have them 100%. I think in a new game, they should really look at this. That's what I think. In my opinion, that's one of the most important things that they have to take a look at. That the combat is really good, but it should be more, let's say, proactive, and not only you spam everything. And that's working out decently well. You should think about, okay, next attack will be some hard-hitting attack. I have to apply protection now. I think that would make the game way more interesting, and doesn't make it necessarily harder if you design it from the ground like that, yeah? Because nowadays you can't go back to that. I get that. I think you can't go back to that in Guild Wars 2. But in my opinion, you should at least make the new game in a way that it is not already power grabbed from the start. That's just my take. Yeah. True, but think about how long you often have to wait if you want something specific like quick heal. And now imagine it's 10 times harder to play. I agree, but I would say in the future you should have the option to solve, so to say, the encounter differently. So you don't have to always use this specific class to apply this boon. Why not have, for example, a Mesmer can apply it? But why can't, for example, a Guardian on a DPS build also apply it? Why does it have to be the support that applies it, you know? Why can you not say, okay, I know that the next attack will be really hard hitting, but why does the support have to apply the boon? Why not can the healer, maybe the tank, maybe the DPS have a specific skill that gives that for 1-2 seconds, yeah? So that you can fill roles with DPS and stuff as well. You don't always have all the, let's say, burden on the supports, so that every single party member actually can provide something other than just DPS. I think that would be amazing, because why not? You know, back in the old days, it was actually the case. We had unique buffs. For example, we had warrior banners that gave you more stats. Just baseline. 10 men, stats increase. And it was a little bit annoying, I agree, but it was something very unique. You could play a DPS warrior that provided stats to the group. And that's why there was always at least one warrior in the party or in the squad. I think that was a really cool and interesting idea. Nowadays, it's like you can play a squad of 10 Scourgers and you will succeed. Is it good? I don't know, but I think it's a little bit boring. It would be more interesting if you could make a little bit more build crafting or more theo crafting about an encounter. But that's just my take. I see why people would not agree with that. Totally, I totally get that. Just saying, not everything has to be as in Guild Wars 2. Yeah. And I think overall, I think the amount of how you create your group in Guild Wars 2 is very convoluted. It's very complex. If you're a new player, it's very hard to understand that you need a healer, but a healer doesn't usually also bring quickness or alacrity. It has to be something, sometimes it's quickness, sometimes it's alacrity. So it's a little bit hard to get into why you build your group like that. So I think in the new game, it should be a little bit more, maybe have some party finder in it, maybe make it a little bit more straightforward, that the tank always provides alacrity or something like that, or can provide alacrity for a short amount of time, something like that. Maybe don't even introduce alacrity or quickness at all. I don't know, something like that. That would be really interesting. Welcome, Banish, welcome. Hope you had a nice day so far. Glad you could make it to the stream. I mean, this is the bears. So typically the bears are actually not that hard to actually get top DPS, because the really high, because you have 2 targets. You know, the 2 targets make it, so to say, you have double the DPS to some extent if you have a lot of cleave. So for example, if you have some classes that can almost every single attack is AoE, then you get double the DPS. If you, for example, even if, let's say you play a Condi Willbender, you actually get more DPS than you would get than double, because your burns bounce around because of your traits. So that's why the DPS is so high here. And you always have to look at bosses that are just have 1 boss and no cleave, then you can compare to the benchmark somewhat. Yeah. I will make an official complaint to ANET devs for making Juntier Alley NPC from the arena way more OP than our own spear. Yeah, I mean, I think the Elementalist Spear is a very cool weapon, but I would say it's not an OP weapon. I think you can actually, nowadays, actually also use it in PvP. That's the cool part. They actually made it somewhat decent in PvP as well. So I would say they are slowly buffing it back to the place where this NPC has it. Yeah. But it's definitely the amount of usefulness is definitely higher for this NPC. I would agree with you there. But I mean, like I said, I think balancing feels like over the last few balance patches, I think the balancing itself was okay, but just the amount they changed was still not enough in my opinion. It did not change too much of every single game mode. You can still play the same classes without too much of a hassle, which is okay, but I think a lot of underperforming builds are still not that played. So that's the sad part. So I really hope that they are working on something else that is in the end increasing also flexibility of builds and stuff as well. So I hope the next expansion introduces some stuff that is also very interesting to veterans. Yeah, I don't know. Imagine that amount of AoE from one weapon in World vs. World. Yeah, it's true. I think they have a lot of cool skills from NTCs that we can't use as players, which is okay, but it would be really cool if you had them as well, I guess. Yeah, I agree. But I think they don't want to introduce too many OP AoE weapons in World vs. World, because it's already quite crazy how different the classes are. So some classes have crazy amount of AoE like Elementalist, and some classes like Mesmer, if you don't have the spear, you don't have any AoE. It's actually legendary how little AoE you have as a Mesmer without a spear. So I think there is already some kind of, let's say, inherent, yeah, unfairness in classes from the design perspective and their weapons. So I would say it's really important that they take a look at that and say, okay, we can't give Elementalists even more of that good options, because then it will just be always the superior choice when it comes to that. I don't know. Just my take, yeah. Guys, they are all because of the chain dying. Not good. Oh, we salvaged it. Very good. Is it still good to play fractals if you're already done dailies? It depends what kind of fractals you are playing. So if you repeat the same tier 4 fractals, I would say it's not worth your time. It's still, you get gold, yes, because of the boxes. You get those boxes here, and you can sell them, you can open them with the chest, with the keys. So it's still giving you gold, but I would say it's better to actually farm some open world map or something if you want to get more gold out of that. But, and that's the important part, there is a way to farm fractals really, really efficiently to get around 50 to 70 gold an hour forever, 24/7. You can farm that unlimited by completing very fast fractals like Mitrin in a low level scale, so let's say 42 and you just do it very, very fast with a group. You skip the dialogue and stuff, and then you actually get a lot of gold per hour just by getting those boxes and opening them or selling them. And you will be very, very happy about that, but it's very grindy, you know. It's you can do it 24/7, but it's very boring, you know. You repeat the same fractal over and over. Yeah. So you can do it. It's very lucrative. It's one of the best ways to actually farm gold in Guild Wars 2, but it's a big, big grind. So you would repeat 42, which is my twin fractal, and you would skip the dialogue and would do it really fast, and that would lead to a very, very high amount of gold per hour. If you have a fast group, of course, that is. Maybe I make a build guide or a guide about what kind of builds you have to use and what kind of strategy you have to use to actually make that work, because it's really interesting. And I think if you are a veteran and you enjoy fractals, this is actually a way to actually use fractals and make a lot of gold with them, which is more than the usual dailies. Yeah. Like that NPC from Human Personal Story that knocks you down with Death Blossom's skill, but player, thief, class don't have knockdown built in. Yeah, I think they have a lot of things like that some NPCs have different skills that are a little bit altered to make it stronger. I think that's fair. You don't have every NPC that has to have the same skills as players. I think it makes it challenging. I think that's okay. But it's also understandable that not all the skills should have everything that an NPC have, because, for example, if this skill that's already an evade does damage, would also knock you down, that would be insane. It would be just so overloaded, would be absolutely crazy. And also look at that, for example, in Ascalonian Catacombs, so the dungeon from this one. In this dungeon, you have an NPC that actually dual wields scepters. So this NPC has scepters in the main and in the offhand. That's the only NPC that has this, and that's also interesting, you know. We don't even have that, but this NPC can dual wield scepters, which is really funny to me because they actually made it just for this NPC. It's really cool. Yeah. Oh, sorry. What was the question? Sorry, I did not get it. Let's check. Can I share my build? Yes, I shared a build. 1 second, sorry. Did not see that question. Sorry. Just write it again if I didn't see the question. So this is the classical Snowcrows build for this build. I'm using maximum DPS with alacrity in this time, but you can swap to quickness, of course. I'm using a lot of, let's say, assassin gear to get more precision. So this is Assassin, this is Berserker, and it's a little bit of a mix. I have a build guide on my YouTube channel where exactly you have to have those pieces, and you do Superior Rune of Infiltration. In the end, you will just want to reach 75%, so that with Fury, you get exactly 25% more, and you have 100% crit chance. For weapons, you want to use Impact and Force on the Spear, and on the Dagger Sword, you want to use also Force and Impact. Just the best option, and you want to use Relic of the Claw, which is a little bit higher DPS than Relic of the Thief. So you need to CC enemies. So if you can't upkeep that a lot, you have to go for Relic of the Thief, which is also very valid. Gives you 5% permanently. So if you want to be a little bit less, let's say, brain involved, you can go with Relic of the Thief and lose a lot. And again, you have to have some Assassin and Berserker mix in here. With power infusions, very important, you have to use this food. Power precision food, also the standard version is fine, so that you get enough precision. It's really, really hard to actually crit cap on Mesmer. That is not a virtuoso, so that you have to put a lot of stats actually in Assassin and your food and stuff to actually get the 75% crit rate. And of course you have your skills here that are very changeable. You can swap all your utility skills. The only skill that you really need is your Signet of Ether. All the other skills are completely free. You can go for more CC, you can go for stability, you can go even for blink or teleport with portal and stuff. You can set up everything. You can even go for some stability with the well or whatever you like. So this is a very flexible build. It's very high in the DPS as well. They nerfed it a bit, but it's still very good. And I would say it's definitely a very worthwhile build to learn, because you can carry your group not only with DPS but also with your utility. It's very helpful, I would say, if you like Mesmer, that is. I think it's harder to play than Virtuoso for sure, just because you have your Continuum split, you have a lot of just baked in challenge when it comes to your rotation and your adjustment of skills. I think adjusting skills is always making the build more versatile, but makes it also a little bit harder to play, because you have to understand when you can swap to this skill, when you have to use this skill. Because typically, if you use the wrong skill at the wrong time, so for example, if I use feedback on a boss that doesn't have any reflex necessary, then it's completely wasted. So you have to really understand when to take your skills. But if you played the fights more often and you understand how the encounters work, I think it's a very worthwhile investment of time, for sure. Yeah, I think I will actually do that in my Twin one. I think that would be really interesting to just tell people that it's actually very worthwhile to farm my Twin and get a lot of gold by doing it. Yeah. There's one with staff and some other weapon dual wield. Can't recall where it was, but when I spotted it, had been a dream on my LS since. I agree, that is actually also cool. I think I heard that before, but I can also not remember where it was. I think a staff dual wield is also very insane, to be honest. I think that's actually very insane. I don't know. Sounds really cool if you could do it. But I think they will never introduce something like that. I think the spear was probably the most likely thing to happen. I'm not sure if they will ever introduce a weapon that was not there in the game before. I think that would be too much work for them now. I think having offhand scepter, maybe staff, but I think it's not too likely. Yeah. Will you do a top DPS tier list now that the balance update has happened? I already have, actually. I already did that. I can send you the link to this. I just did it, I think, a week ago. Yeah. I can send you. I did an updated tier list on that. Yeah. 1 second. That's the link to the video. So you can check it out. I updated it. It's not a tier list in the sense that I rate every single class. I just give you the update of the tier list and change the places that I would change. So a little bit more concise. And I think that's also what you're looking for. I have a question regarding spear. I target enemy, I use skills, but when I blast the etching, it blasts in the way my character looks instead of the targeted enemy. Is something wrong with my settings? I have AoE target locked to enemy selected. I don't know. Let's take a look at the etchings. But to be honest, I think the etchings are really weird. So this AoE target lock to ground target to enemy target is a weird setting because it not always works. So that means sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you have to be really careful because, for example, this skill might not work with it. So you just have to try to use it correctly anyway. So if you have it locked to this enemy, then these skills might work, but this one might not. So I don't know. I would be really careful. Yeah, I would be really careful. And I would typically say locking to your enemy is... I wouldn't recommend it to use it all the time. I think this is a feature that is very nice to have, but, and that's the important part, I would not... Where is it? This one? I would not do this. I would not do this. I would not say check that and use it all the time. I would rather use keybind. Toggle snap ground target. Yeah, I would use a keybind to switch it on and off, because then you can toggle it on when you see, okay, I want to hit my grenades on an engineer all the time. Yeah, and you can toggle it off when you are on an elementalist, on something that you want to use your healing skills, for example, on your party. So you can switch that on and off. I think that is way more important, that you actually have a, let's say, a keybind for that, than putting it on all the time. Because all the time you have such scenarios where you don't want that and it still does it. So I think this is a really important setting that you have to be really careful here, that you don't overuse it, because I think it's better to not use it than to use it all the time. That's my opinion, just saying, yeah? That it can really hurt your gameplay. Because if you get your healing skill and you think, oh my god, I'm getting my guys here, yeah, on Elementalist, yeah, and I'm using it and I forgot to switch off this skill, yeah, and then you have the geyser on top of the bone skinner instead of your ally that you wanted to heal, and they are not standing in the geyser. That means that you lose all your healing. So you have to be really, really careful, especially in competitive modes, because in competitive modes it's even worse, because in competitive modes the target might move and the skill might be casted to the location the target was already before and it moved away from that. So the lock to ground target option is for me only worth it in PvE. In all the other game modes, I think it's very important that you have some kind of human, you know, you adjust where you want to land it. This one is moving, yeah? So if I go to the ground, the settings here, wait 1 second, and put it to normal, yeah? And then I have to move with it, you know? I can't say locking to ground target, because if this guy moves and I cast it, it will cast here and it will be out of range. And that's in competitive modes always the case. So I would always try to go with or predict where the enemy is moving and then cast it. So never use the ground target there, I would say. But like I said, that's more a veteran opinion. So if you're a new player, of course it can help you to get into the game and understand when to land your skills and stuff. But if you're more advanced, I would say always go for fast with range indicator or even instant, and use the snap ground target option only if you need it with the toggle. Other than that, I would not use it all the time. That's just, like I said, my opinion as a veteran. If you only play PvE, that might look different. But if you play, like me, every single game mode, I really like to have a toggle there. Yeah. And it's also very weird. That's why I don't like the etchings too much. I think the etchings on Elementalist, they are just very, very, yeah, what can I say? Very weird, you know? You have to cast skills to actually make it work, but then sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's just not going in the direction that you want. I think the targeting and stuff is really weird with this. Just saying, I think you have to really, you can retarget it, but it feels weird. I think the etchings are just, they are really nice design, but they are weird from how they work. Yeah. Well, welcome Darkeshi, welcome. Yeah, glad you liked my Spectre video. I put a lot of effort into it because I had to learn it first. I think Spectre is something very special. It's not something that you see every day because people are just not used to playing Spectre. But I think Spectre is a very cool spec, as a healer especially. I think it's very underrated. It's very fun to play. And it provides a lot of healing. It's very surprising how good it is. It's probably one of the best healers right now, just because it has so much baked in boons, barrier, healing, cleanses. It's really overloaded, the kit. It's just harder to play because you have to teleport around. You have to, so it's just, I don't know. It feels weird to play if you are trying it the first time. But if you get used to it, it's actually very fun. And you have a very high resistance uptime, and that's something that is not a lot of builds actually can do that. That much is true. So the toggle will work that way with the button when I press it. It will auto snap to the current target. Yes. That's exactly it. So you can press the button, then it will snap to the ground target, and if you snap to the button again, it will toggle the option again and you will lose it. Yeah, that's how it works. It can be very useful in a lot of scenarios. Of course, you have to be aware when it's currently toggled and when it's not. So sometimes it's a little bit annoying that you can't see that easily, but you will notice very fast, I would say. Yeah, and Spectre is also, you look at the barrier. Look at the barrier. I can easily get barrier to my allies for 50% of their health. And look at the boons as well. I can provide so many boons with this, just spamming my skills here. And look at this. It's crazy. I'm not even using my alacrity here. It's really good. It's a really underrated build. Just wanted to put it out there because I think a lot of people underestimate how well you can actually do with Spectre. Yeah, for sure. I think Spectre is a very good build right now. Yeah. I don't know. I think Guild Wars 2 has a lot of intricacies when it comes to targeting and stuff. So that's another thing that I mentioned in the Spectre guide, but it's also very important for other classes. So for example, if I want to target this guy, I can put a personal target on them. Yeah. And this personal target is also a key, or let's say an option that is very underrated because it's very good, because it lets you keep track of someone without anyone else seeing the target, just that you keep track of someone that maybe does a mechanic that you want, that is the healer, that is someone that you want to stick to. I don't know, that knows where to go. You can put that on there. And if you're playing Spectre, this is a target option that is really important because you want to target your allies a lot of the times. And that's not that easy, you know. Targeting the boss is very easy. You do that with every single spec all the time. But targeting your ally is a little bit more annoying. So you can use the take personal target option. So you set your personal target and then you take your personal target and you instantly swap to it. Yeah. When I press my button here, I target this guy. And then I can use my skills again on them. Because that's really important, because your Spectre skills are different if you hit, for example, an enemy or if you hit an ally. So typically you want to hit your ally rather than your enemy. And that's really weird, but that's the thing that really is important, because if I want to do some DPS, I will cast my skills, but typically as a healer you don't want it, so you swap to your ally and then use your attack and do your things, and then you swap back to your enemy target, and you can instantly swap back to your ally target with personal marker without annoying anyone with setting a really big squad marker on them, because if you put the squad marker on them, this one, everyone will see it. That's not what you want. You want only the personal target. So that can help a lot. Just some really, I wouldn't say high level tips, but some tips that can help you improve at the game, especially if you play Spectre. But that helps, of course, as well if you're not playing Spectre. Yeah, because those targets can help you to see, okay, maybe this is the commander, because you don't see it so easily. Maybe you want to see this guy is doing a specific mechanic. You want to see, okay, they're moving out now. Maybe I have to target them for some healing. It can be really, really helpful. I agree, Echo Fox. Spectre feels like a healer in a classic MMO because you have to target your allies. Feels like WoW healer, Final Fantasy healer. Which is, for a lot of people in Guild Wars 2, really strange. But I would say it is very powerful nowadays. Back when they released it, it was really weak because it did not have any AoE component. But in Guild Wars 2 now, it actually has AoE components, because all of the skills, when you ally target them, also have AoE effects. And therefore, you get actually the same value as a normal healer. But it feels still different. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, I think Spectre is, because of that, I think Spectre is not only underrated, but also underplayed. Not a lot of people play it because it's just not fitting into Guild Wars 2 that you have to target your allies. I think if they buff it, or I think it's actually in a good spot now, but people just have to understand it and get used to it, and then it gets more played. It's just currently not in that space yet, which is okay. Not everything has to be the same amount of, yeah, let's say commonly usedness, but it's fine. The usage is there. People can use it. It's just people have to use it, yeah. I think Spectre, for example, is a better healer than Mechanist. That might be a hot take, but people don't know that, yeah. Did they add that? We can target ally by clicking the squad name like WoW players. Yeah, you could always do that. If you invite someone to your squad, you could click on them and you target them. You could always do that, yeah. It works like that, yeah. It's actually very important. If I can't target someone, you could do that all the time. If, for example, I know this guy is doing a mechanic, but I don't know where they currently are because they might be behind me, I can click on them and I target them and I can then heal them. Yeah, that works like that, yeah. They need to make UI customizable, so you can move the party squad table and it's fixed. I totally agree with that. I think they should change all that the UI is not as rigid as it is. I think it should be way more flexible. All the other top tier AAA games have customizable UI. You can, not only in Guild Wars 2, the only thing that you can do is actually change the, where is it? The size of the UI here. Large, small, normal. That's the only thing that you can change. But you can't change where your health bar is. You can't put it in the middle of the screen. You can't put, I don't know, change anything in the game. And I think that is way more important than anything else, especially for new player, to adjust it to your needs so that you can see stuff more easily, that your boon bar, for example, is bigger, that your health bar is somewhere else. I don't know. That would be really, really important. I think it's never gonna happen for Guild Wars 2. Hopefully in Guild Wars 3, it will happen. If they will ever publish a Guild Wars 3, I think that is one of the features that has to be in there, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, before the patch Spectre support, I was like in other MMOs when you need to target allies, and now the buffs are applied to party as well. Yeah, exactly. I think that you get the party buffs, they are a little bit weaker than if you, so if you are targeting an ally, it will get a little bit more healing barrier and stuff than the effectiveness to the allies, which is fine because the effectiveness is insane. It's really insane how much barrier you put out with one skill. I can give this guy 50% of their health as barrier just by using one skill. Maybe a little bit more depending on how much health they have. But still, this is insane. The barrier to your allies is maybe around 5k or something, which is crazy with one skill. So it's really, really good. So I think the buffs were really, really necessary because it makes it way more useful because they can now compete with Chronomancer and Druid and stuff. But before, it was just too gimmicky and too weak for that. Now it works. Now it's fine. Guild Wars 1 had it before World of Warcraft with add-ons even. Yeah, maybe. Okay, sorry, I did not want to offend Guild Wars 1 here. Just saying that in Guild Wars 2, it's highly necessary to have something like that customizable UI. And it's just, in my opinion, it's really crazy that we don't have it. I think that's just probably some kind of limitation in their code and their software. But it's something that is really important, just for visual clarity as well. I don't know. It's just my take, yeah. I usually use it a little more offensive with Celestial and Ritualist for PvE and spam Torment on enemies. And still have a little support in meta events. Yeah, I think that's a totally fine build as well. You can go for full Celestial or some Ritualist gear and play it some kind of an offensive support. That's totally fine as well. I think you have so much baseline utility in your kit that you don't need to play full support. But of course, if you go for instant content, and for example, go for some kind of raiding build, I would say either you go full aggressive with Alacrity Spectre with a lot of conditions, or you go some kind of tanky or healing build that is really doing the healing option. Of course, you can, even there, you can play Celestial, but then you have to be careful because oftentimes you will get the tanked because of the toughness that you get from Celestial. But yeah, I see everything is viable in Guild Wars 2 when it comes to how much support you want to put into your Spectre. I think that's totally fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Condi DPS version is also very decent. I think a lot of people enjoy it, especially in 99 and 98 CM on Fractals. I think it's very good there. But Thief is actually underused. Power and Condi. I think not a lot of people play Thief. I think Thief is one of the specs that is probably underused in PvE the most at the moment, I would say. Which is sad because it's actually not in a bad spot. Even the power builds are actually very, very useful. They are, I agree, mostly only DPS, but sometimes that's enough, you know, if you have high DPS, why not? I think it's I don't know, I think Thief just needs more promotion. I think it doesn't need too much buffs, I don't know, it's just my opinion, yeah. It's just also not that easy, especially when you want to play Deadeye perfectly. It's a little bit harder to play, it's more challenging, it's more, let's say, not every boss is actually really fun to play in a Deadeye because you have to do so much weird stuff. I don't know. I just want to say maybe make it a little bit more easy to use, not buff the damage, just a little bit more easy to use, and then we would all be happy, I guess. Yeah. Are we gonna get a beard shaping tutorial? I can't shape mine that good. I mean, maybe I should do that, but I'm not sure if the Guild Wars community is interested in that. I'm not sure. I would say it grew on me, you know? It grew on me over the years. It's just, you have to learn it. Sorry for the pun, but I think you have to learn it at some point if you just try to make it work. With a spear mechanist. Ooh, that sounds not only dangerous, but also quite, let's say, violent in the end. Welcome, Mr. Smith, welcome. I don't know. I think it's just, for me, it was how I shaped my beard is actually, I started that years ago, and it was really funny because back in the, I have it over 10 years, you know, my beard, just like I'm currently having it. And back in the old days, I was actually, when I was in puberty, I was starting to do that over the course of a long vacation. Yeah. Because if you start growing your beard in the first time, it's actually one of the things that is, this takes time. It's not looking very good in the beginning. And I was experimenting a bit over a long vacation. And when I came back, people did not recognize me because I looked totally different. It was a really funny time back then. That was one of the really amazing and really interesting experiences I had with my beard in the first few years. But back then, I figured out how I wanted to do it, and that's actually, I don't know. I slowly stick with the same thing, and it's actually working in my opinion. Just can't give you more tips than that. Are you really questioning if the average MMO player could use a tutorial on how to shape their beard? I'm questioning that, yeah. Yeah, I'm questioning that. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're starting as a male person with a beard, the beginning looks always a little bit rough. I agree. Yeah, I agree. But what can you do? You know, that's just how it is. Nothing going on anymore. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone. I think maybe people are interested in beards and MMOs as well, but I'm not sure if I would be the content creator to do that. Uh, I'm more about the game than anything else. I try to make content about Guild Wars 2, maybe about other games in the future, but that's it. Not some beard shaping tutorials. I'm not sure. That could be some kind of meme, but will not be amazing content, I guess. Yeah. And with that, I think I will also end the stream for the day. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for all the follows and the rates and the subs. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of cool videos there and more to come in the future. So have a nice weekend now. Thanks a lot for watching again. And see you around. Okay, last question from Mr. Smith on YouTube. I still didn't get the thing about the Astral tokens in Wizard World, so I put up in German. So the idea here is, I can explain that again because it's actually important that you do it correctly. We have now, we have only 3 more days until the Astral Wizards World resets. Yeah. That means when it resets, you get new rewards. All the old rewards will also go in the legacy rewards, so you can still get them. If you will get the rewards when it resets. You will still have everything in the daily and weekly tab as it was before. Everything. You will also get this. These numbers will exactly stay the same. So you can carry over all your unclaimed, also all your unclaimed Astral Acclaim here into the new season and claim instantly rewards with it. So the way to do it would be on Monday and Tuesday to get all your weekly and stuff and done, to instantly pop them when you have used your Astral Acclaim that you saved up. So you save up to 1,300 and use all your weekly, do all your weeklies, have those chests ready to claim, but not claim them yet. Then buy your Astral Acclaim rewards when you are after the patch and open it the first time, and then you can claim it and instantly purchase even more stuff. That's how you would do it. Yeah. So, see you all. Have a nice weekend and see you around. Thanks a lot for watching.
pretty sure it's dog shit, no?